I'm Sean Aylmer, and this is Fear and Greed's Sunday feature interview. I'll be back again tomorrow with another weekday episode of Fear and Greed, the normal mix of business news and interviews that sets you up for a successful day. In the meantime, enjoy our Sunday feature interview. Holidays are serious business. They're important to everyone, and now they may be more important to the Australian economy than ever before. A growing sector in tourism has been the caravan industry. Many of us have very fond memories of caravan holidays in our youth, and some of us have never had the pleasure. To find out more today, we're talking to Stuart Lamont, who is Chief Executive Officer of Caravan Industry Association of Australia. Good morning, Stuart.
Good morning, Sean. Great to join you.
Who does the Caravan Industry Association represent?
Sean, we represent everyone right across the industry, so the entire supply chain. That will be from manufacturers through to the suppliers that supply those products, retailers, repairers, accommodation providers, both short and long term. So it's quite a mixed bag. What we've got is, from the very small independent operators through to ASX listed companies, and naturally, manufacturers and tourism wouldn't, coexist naturally, but in the caravan industry, absolutely it's symbiotic and it works together. Those people that buy caravans need somewhere to stay, and those people that are looking to go away on holiday need a product to go with. So, very diverse set of industry, and majority are regionally based, and about 3,500 businesses, some odd 50,000 people employed.
Wow. You've recently released a report, State of the Industry 2020, and it's about how the industry is faring. That was based on 2019, and let's start there and we'll come to what's happened, obviously, since then. But the report says the total caravan and camping visitor nights in Australia exceeded 60 million, and 14 million trips for the first time. Wow, that's not bad.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
What's happened? Everyone's going camping.
Well, and so they should. I mean, there's so many great positive benefits of going camping, both for the mind and reconnecting with the body. But I think everyone sees caravan and camping as a holiday option. And I know when I grew up as a kid, that's what I saw was the thing you went and did when you went away on holiday. But it's actually a really burgeoning industry in its own right. We're almost a quiet achievement. $23 billion worth of industry activity every year, $10 billion worth of visitor expenditure that goes out to the regions on an annual basis. And I think, Sean, we've seen this grow immensely over the last 10 years. I know it's always been part of the Australians' DNA, but we've seen another 5.5 million trips every year, 17 million nights, 200,000 RVs are manufactured locally. We're one of the last bastions of automotive industry or manufacturing left in Australia today. So it's just gone gangbusters.
Yeah, so why has it been in the last 10 years? Why have you done so well?
Oh, look, I think it's a combination of things. While package deals and international has always been, the lure of many people looking for great holidays, cruise also. Australians are very much grounded. They're nomadic. They love to get out there and they love spending time with their families. And what better way to do that than caravanning and camping? It's an affordable way of doing it. You can do it close to home. And caravan and camping spots are in some of the most spectacular locations, not only in Australia but in the world.
So who typically goes camping? Is it the parents with young kids?
It's interesting because most interviews I do, they talk about the grey nomads and they focus on the grey nomads. And look, they're incredibly important. They've got the time, they can disperse around Australia. But what we find is the most amount of people that actually go caravan camping are family units, people 30 to 49-year-olds that have got kids in tow. And we did a real richness report a few years ago. And what we saw that over 90% of people that went camping found that kids were learnt better life skills, they were better connected with the environment, and it felt that they brought families closer together. So you get those kind of stats, and no wonder more and more families are going, well, let's go caravan and camping as opposed to heading overseas.
And one of the few spots you can go and not be guaranteed Wi-Fi. When you have kids, that's a great thing.
Absolutely. You can disconnect and reconnect as much or as little as you want. And I think it's about escapism. And look, I went caravan camping as a kid, and I think there's nothing better than getting sticks out and eating grass and fishing in the creek and
never quite being comfortable in bed, things like that.
Not quite, but I guess some of my favourite memories as going caravan and camping were at the time some of the more horrific stories that you have, tent falling down in the middle of a thunderstorm. But when you recall them, you've always got a smile on your face, and there's still an element of, oh well, I toughed it out.
We laugh about that, but in a sense, camping is extremely diverse, from having a swag, sleeping under the stars, to glamping, to staying in almost 5-star cabins in what I'd call resorts. It seems to be a huge range of products out there now.
The great thing, Sean, is that there is something for everybody. So, if you want to go and be rustic and sleep under the stars in a swag, those products are available to you. But I would travel around the country, and I'm lucky enough, certainly pre-COVID, to travel around the country and probably spend 100 nights a year in caravan parks. And you don't have the ability of hooking up the caravan at that point in time. So some of that roofed accommodation as a travelling person, are second to none. They're far bigger than what a hotel is. Many have got their own cooking facilities. And, you've got the ability to be in a work environment but still feeling that holiday vibe at the same time, and there's kids around and there's activities happening and everyone's having a great time, and it's just a great way to work, I guess.
Yeah. And is there a more popular style? Is glamping more popular now than 10 years ago, for example? Is it putting a caravan on the back of your truck and off you go type thing?
Oh, look, absolutely. What we're seeing is caravanning product, whether it be tents and pre-erected glamping tents are becoming all the rage in the last couple of years. It's about a home away from home, an element of escapism where you want all the creature comforts that you have at home, but you want to do it in a different environment. And caravan and camping allows you to do that. So what we're seeing is some of this caravan product. You've got everything from washing machines to solar and Wi-Fi, and you don't actually need for anything else. So what we're seeing is product development, which is off the charts, and they are genuinely home away from home.
Now, you mentioned regional centres. There's more camping in regional centres than metro, which is kind of self-evident in a sense, but it must be a very important industry for the regions.
Absolutely. We talk about 60 million nights. Over 54 million of those were out in regional and rural Australia. So, while many of these townships are reliant on agriculture or traditional businesses, they don't get a lot of input of money. So, whether it be a family or a grey nomad or a caravan and camper going through those towns and spending their money, going to the coffee shop and buying a meal at the local restaurant, that's services local jobs and keeps people in their community.
Where are the most popular places to go camping across the country?
Look, it's horses for courses. We see certainly through winter, we see this migration that goes north, and as Victorians pile out and go to the warmer weather. But, we see these coastal destinations and school holiday periods that are incredibly popular. I think just at the moment with COVID, what we're seeing is anything that's 2 to 3 hours drive from a metro city for those cities that are able to travel. They're incredibly popular, but I think it just depends on the season and depends on the time of year. While in some cases we have feast and famine, while some of our areas are feasting, others are quieter and vice versa. So something for everyone.
In a normal year, forget 2020 because this is not a normal year, are people mostly intrastate or interstate?
The challenge you have, and you've made a good point in terms of 2020 being an unusual year and border closures and what have you. I think what it has done is it's highlighted that there are so many great places that you can go within your state. So you have some states such as WA, for example, Tassie, which are heavily reliant on an intrastate market, but certainly welcome interstate. But then you get the 3 eastern states, whereby you get this magnificent migration that happens twice a year as people travel up and down. So that interstate travel is vitally important. But many people just take short breaks, short weekends. They look at what's happening on the weekend and go, hey, let's go camping. And so ideal place for that is a couple of hours from home.
So how's the industry gone this year? I mean, certainly along the East Coast, the bushfires started even pre-COVID. Dreadful bushfire year, particularly in New South Wales, and then COVID. How's everyone gone?
Yeah, as you said, bushfires started this time last year. I know we saw the devastation that happened at Christmas time, but it was already going for a couple of months prior to that in some of the locations. So what we're seeing is some independent operators who lost an entire season, and while their caravan park should have been full and brimming, they were empty because of bushfires. So there was a lot of money that needed to be recouped, and there was great hope that Australians would go out and support bushfire regions, and they got a real spike through late January and February, and then COVID hit, and so we ended up with another $500 million hole. What we did see is a little bit of travel easing over June, and we saw some of those losses recouped, but with lockdown, particularly in metropolitan Melbourne at the moment, there's some guys out there that are incredibly struggling, and we are seeing feast and famine because in WA, for example, we're seeing record levels over there as people get out there while they have the ability to do so. We're seeing south coast of New South Wales, probably as far south as Bateman's Bay. Some of those guys are having record months, but if you go a little bit further south to Jindabyne, which missed out its snow season, you go to Eden and Merimbula and Pambula and those popular south coast spots, which rely so heavily on Victorians. They're just not travelling at the moment. So, we're certainly hopeful of a bumper summer ahead, but we need to get those borders open in the first place.
Has the industry lost many players as a result of what's happened in the last 12 months?
No, the industry is very resilient. And so what it's allowed people to do is redirect their activities. A lot of people are doing maintenance and preparing for hopefully the rush that's coming up. But it's not only the caravan parks, it's also 90% of all of our local manufacturing is done out of Victoria. So they've effectively been on house arrest for 8 weeks. So from a supply chain perspective, we've got unprecedented demand, and we've got a supply which has been unable to manufacture. And when you talk about an industry which manufactures a new caravan every 4 minutes, 8 weeks is a big hole in the supply chain. So we're frantically racing to try and catch that up now.
You made a point earlier on that it's one of the few parts of the automotive industries in Australia that's actually booming. Who are the big players in that sector? I'm going to say Viscount, but that's probably only because that's just what I think of immediately.
Oh, well, Viscount as a brand has been around for many decades, and they've certainly come back into the fold in the last couple of years, manufacturing a fantastic product. For those that are somewhat nostalgic but want to get back into the industry. There are 190 odd manufacturers in Australia that are producing RV product, which makes us the largest concentration of RV manufacturers in the world. We're seeing some quite clearly some standouts from a volume perspective. You look at Jayco, for example. They represent close to 1 in every 2 manufactured product that's locally manufactured. But there's a whole lot of other well-established brands that are producing good volume as well. You've got New Age, you've got Concept, you've got Supreme, you've got Avan. The list goes on. And Australian manufacturing's got a really proud history. And what we find is the way that consumers want to use our product is the harshest in the world and the toughest on our industry product. So I would say that as an industry, locally, we manufacture certainly the best product in the world when it comes to RV product.
I've got to tell you, I'm staggered. 190 manufacturers. I just realised how ignorant I am of that. I mean, what sort of vehicles are they?
Oh, look, anywhere from a tent trailer all the way up to the big flashy motorhomes and everything in between. I mean, predominantly we look at your caravan, which everyone is familiar with, or your camping product. So, you've got your trailer on the back end and you've got your canvas on top, and you'll see them flying down the highway, certainly on many long weekends. And they go to great camping spots and they create their own almost tent cities, but in the comfort of off the ground.
Have you had much support from government during the crisis?
I think generally all industries have benefited from the likes of JobSeeker. We ourselves as an association, wouldn't have been able to keep the staff on that we did if it wasn't for that particular government support. I guess it also creates its own challenges. JobSeeker on the other side of the equation has meant that a lot of Australians don't want to work when the jobs are there. And so many people in regional Australia have really struggled to find labour. In terms of actual government support, which is industry specific, well, let's wait until Tuesday when the budget's announced and hope there's something in there. But look, it's there's a lot of money being thrown around and many people putting their hands out. We're just one of those mouths hoping to get a feed.
Have you seen many of your members suddenly pivot, seems to be the word of the year, and do incredible things? I mean, restaurants, for example, providing takeaway products. Stage Kings, we interviewed them. They used to make huge stages for big productions and they moved to office furniture because they had to. Have you seen much of that in your industry?
I think it's been more a case of pivoting to understand what the new consumer is and providing a product which will be necessary in the new world order that it is. So seeing a lot of, in the caravan park industry, a lot of safety procedures being put in place. We're seeing at the end of the day, product being catered specifically for new customers. We're seeing a lot of capital expenditure going into the likes of new cabin product, new glamping product, which will appeal to a broader market. And we're seeing some manufacturers who are unable to, from the supply chain, help in with mask manufacturing and PPE equipment. So as the machines have stayed silent, certainly for their own needs, but more broader, they've put the nose to the grind and helped out as far as that's concerned as well.
So what are your hopes for the year ahead?
Sean, I'm going to say we're incredibly buoyant about the year ahead. We're coming off a record year in 2019. It's still firmly entrenched in, as I say, the Australian DNA. We've got the ability for consumers to control their own environment. And so as a result of all of that, if we can get some travel movement happening, certainly within Australia, and while cruise is a little way off and international travel is away as well, we just think it's a great opportunity for Australians to to leave their houses and go out and explore. And what better way to do that than caravan and camping? So we can expect what we think is a golden age of caravanning over the next 3 to 5 years. We hope at the end of the day that as Australians look to reduce some stress, spend some time in nature, to forget the horrors of 2020, that they'll actually get out and caravan and camp. So we're incredibly buoyant. We're obviously keeping a close eye in terms of particularly what's happening in Victoria. But as people move around, we'll be the first industry, we think, to rebound and rebound quickly.
Fantastic. Now, before you go, I have to ask you one final question, which is always causing debate in my family. Is staying in a cabin really camping? Can you stay in a cabin and say, I went camping?
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Where's the effort in a cabin?
Oh, no. It's not around the effort, Sean. It's around the experience that you have around you. And so the ability to be able to wake up in the morning and go out on the veranda and see the birds singing and watching the river go by and so forth. I mean, you get the same experience. Yes, you haven't gone to the effort of putting the canvas up, and yes, you haven't fought with your partner in relation to where the tent pegs go where and what have you. But even so. Much better than going into a hotel.
Clearly, I've lost that argument. And the other thing, of course, is so many of the sites are on such spectacular spots. If you want to see beauty, go to a campsite.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Stuart, for talking to Fear and Greed.
No dramas, Sean. It's been a pleasure.
That was Stuart Lamont, Chief Executive Officer of Caravan Industry Association of Australia.